Hey, it's Jabbo. Welcome to the Unrecognized User Podcast. This is a podcast that focuses on my Lego collecting and whatever I want to talk about. And so I thought in this episode we would talk about my history with Lego, because I've been collecting a long time and I've never had a dark age. And I have a lot of experience in collecting before having any experience with the internet. So a large portion, in fact, if we do the math, over half of my lifetime of collecting Lego, I did this alone. I didn't have, outside of my little brother and family that knew I collected, and then some of my brother's friends and my neighbor that had a couple of Lego sets. There really wasn't that much interaction for me with other people collecting Lego. So I'm going to go through my lifetime of collecting Lego, just kind of break it up into chunks of the history and how I got to where I am today, which is in a basement drowning in Lego. And a lot of it's a lot of the reason I have too much Lego is because of YouTube and the things that it has afforded me to do. But yeah, let's get into the discussion of my history in collecting Lego. And it begins as a kid, and I actually thought that like one of my first Lego sets was the tipper truck, possibly a Universal building set 145. I don't know if that's the official. It was one of those you can build whatever you want type sets. It actually made a commercial on that set. But I was doing a video talking about one of the Life cereal and the Velveeta mail-in things. I had a box. I'm not going to do visuals in this because this is a podcast. I thought about doing a video where I could break these up into the different eras of my collecting, and then maybe put the pictures of the sets and things that I may talk about. But anyway, I talked about this Velveeta box in particular, craft mail-in offer, and my sister told me, she said, I think you made Mom send in for that. So that would have been around 1971. And I don't have specific memories of a lot of things with cereal other than I ate cereal every day of my life. And I loved looking at the boxes. And I always, when we'd go shopping, my mom would go grocery shopping, I'd want to get the cereal, cereal that I liked, but also ones that had the offers. And there were actually quite a few that Lego did over the years. And they were better, I think, back in the olden days, back in the 70s and late 60s. So that's possible that that's where my collecting started. I just don't have a recollection of it because, you don't retain a lot of those memories. Most of my memories before starting elementary school involved playing in the yard, playing, raking leaves, playing in the creek, that type of things. But I don't have much of a memory of Lego from that era. But anyway, I do remember around the time that I would have started school, like first grade, having a few sets like the tipper truck, like the windmill. There was a windmill set. There was a hospital I had some of the building sets with people, the policemen in particular. I had one of the Legoland helicopters. I had the forklifts. It's probably less than 20 sets total in the whole era of the 70s that I owned. We had limited funds, and we also had limited places to get it. And there really, in that time frame, in the mid 70s, Lego did not make a lot of sets each year. I mean, it might be 40 or 50 sets total that were new for the year. In fact, I want to do a video, and I've been working on collecting the sets, but I want to do an entire catalog, like have the catalog and then have every set with the box. It's in the catalog. The thing that's hard with that is having the Duplo sets with the box anyway. But so it was just a few sets. But I do remember, and I've talked about this in the windmill video, of sitting on the floor in my room, setting up all the sets. And pretty much my building sessions, it's like I'd have to build all the sets and set them up on the floor. And then later when I'm done, I had to take them all apart and put them back in the box. But I would set them up on the floor, and I would imagine like if I had more, and I'd look at the catalogs. I did have a Lego idea book, and I was like, I want to build this. And yeah, we couldn't afford all those sets. So it was just a lot of dreaming, of sitting on the floor, dreaming of having more sets and making a bigger town, a town that had more in it than a windmill and a hospital. But I also remember, so I had the maxi figure sets, and the policeman was one of the sets that I had for sure. But there was also in those hospital and the windmill, they had the minifigures. And I remember, like, what are they doing? I was, sitting there looking, they have no faces, they had no arms. And it's like, they had these big figs with arms. But, so there was a long time in the life of a child of experiencing Lego without the minifigure. Because you think from whenever it was I started getting my first sets till 1978, that's, that's 8 years of my 10 years that there were no minifigures other than the statue figures. So I got to experience that and just imagine what it would be like before that. But then the minifigure era started in 1978. And again, we did not get a lot of sets. I know I got a few of the smaller space sets. Probably had a few of the town sets. I struggle to remember what some of the town sets would be, but I know I didn't have any of the buildings from that era. And so any set that I would have got that my mom could have bought for me would have been a small set in that time frame. And then also in that time frame, late 70s, Lego started the Expert Builder series, which would become Technic. But when it first came out, it wasn't called Expert Builder. And the first Expert Builder set I got was the forklift, the yellow forklift. And I also got the motor pack to add to it. I got so much use out of that, those two Technic sets. And again, I would dream of getting like the tractor and the bulldozer and the car. My neighbor across the street, Billy, he had the auto chassis, the car that had no, it was just a bare bones car. But I used that so much, that forklift set. And I've told this story. I used the parts from that to do a social studies project with dominoes. I don't know what the relation is with dominoes. So I kind of put all that up until I got the Technic set, which would have been like 1980, 1981. I think I was 13, so it probably was like 1981 when I got that Technic set. But no, I had to be younger because there's a picture in my 7th grade yearbook. Yeah, so I had to be younger with the dominoes. It didn't have the Lego. I wish the Lego set was in there, but it's not. It's just me setting up the dominoes when I was in 7th grade. But so that from like 1970 to the early 80s, like 83, when I started, it would have been when I started high school. Maybe it was, what year did I start high school? 82. The end of 82 and 83. I didn't have, probably 20 sets at the most. And again, there's some that I just can't remember. But so the next era will be when I'm in high school and when I'm in college. So I was, one of the other hobbies that I had in addition to Lego was collecting comic books. So I started collecting comic books more seriously when I was in high school. And I also had this interest in electronics. And so I collected electronics. In fact, the stores I liked going to as a kid were Lionel Play World, and as a teenager too, Lionel Play World and Radio Shack. It's like I used to dream of there being a Radio Shack in my little town, the Lithia Springs, where I grew up, where I could just walk to the store. And since I had, not my own transportation, if I most of the things I bought for myself were I could walk up to the convenience store and get it, the Stop and Go or the White's Pharmacy, walk up there and buy the comic books and baseball cards and things like that. But I started working relatively young, so I did have money, but I did spend a lot more of my money on electronics than I did on Lego. But in high school, I do remember the castle theme. That was the one that stood out to me. Seeing the castle theme, I'm like, I don't know what the appeal was, because I don't think I was like a medieval history buff or anything like that. I wasn't a history buff back then. But those sets were just so charming and appealing that I was drawn to them. But I wanted to get them, but I couldn't afford it because I was spending all my money on comic books and electronics. But I know me and my little brother, we'd look at those in the store. And so, you know, they're in the store. I'm not buying them, wanting to buy them. But then one day we were in Cumberland Mall, and they had a Sears. And Sears, in the holiday time, they had a toy section. And, you know, there was the Sears catalog. That was a big thing, the Sears catalog. But we're in the mall, and I went to look at the toy section, and they had Lego 50% off. And I was like, oh, and you're talking, sets were $3 or $4. You know, like the smaller sets, maybe like $2. And I was like, this is great. And I was like, I've never seen Lego this cheap. So I bought a bunch of them. I bought as much as I could get then. And then that's when I think, you know, because there was no internet to go to learn about things. It's just I stumbled across this, that, oh, things are on sale after the holidays. I've been doing this wrong. I did used to wait until Target or Kmart ran their 20% off sale, but it was like this after holiday clearance was the greatest thing ever. So now I knew I could wait for those times. And then I started looking for other times that they would do it. But so in the late 80s is when I really started ramping up my collecting, and I was doing it at a discount. And so I would, when I was in college, which I started college in 1986, and I was in New Mexico. And now there was no stores to go to in Socorro, the little town that I went to school in, but there was a McDonald's. And I remember going to McDonald's, and they had the little Happy Meal promotion there in 1986. It might have ran into 1986. I feel like it was in 86 in the winter, but got that, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to send off for stuff. So I had never done it before, but I did the mail-in thing because I got a student loan to go to college, but I didn't have to use all the money for my books and stuff, and my tuition wasn't that much. I had a scholarship, partial scholarship anyway, and so I had this money from my student loan, and I used it to buy Lego. So when I was in New Mexico, I believe this is when I placed my first shop at home order. So it was the mail-in coupon where you fill out the coupon, select what you want, add it up, add this, was it free shipping then? I don't even remember. But you do all that and you mail it in, and then they send it to you. So I did a small order for some service packs and things, and I honestly don't remember the parts and the sets that I would have bought. But that was my first mail-in order in New Mexico, Socorro, New Mexico, 1986. But when I came back, I came back home to Georgia after that first year, and I went to school in Marietta, Georgia. And I would, after classes, I would sometimes drive to find like Walmart stores to see if they had clearance. And so yeah, so I did discover the July clearance. I discovered the winter clearance, and it ran longer. So I was like, you know, maybe there's other stores that have clearance. So Sears kind of dried up there in the 90s, but there was this other store, Service Merchandise. Oh my goodness. I found so much Castle stuff there. as service merchandise. So I'm starting to collect multiples of sets now. It's Cassville, and we are actually building them and displaying them in the room. Me and my little brother, we had this massive collection of feathers. Like all those Cassville sets, you get the extra plumes that come with the different characters. So I was putting all the little extra ones in a container. And I remember, so I had like multiples of sets, right? Riverman Forest River Crossing, the Castle minifigures. I think I had like 30 copies of Castle minifigures. I didn't open all of them, but so some of the sets that I did open and I build, I put the boxes in the attic of the house because, mind you, my bedroom was like 11 feet by 11 feet. It had comic books in there, a desk, a bed, a weight set. So I didn't have a lot of room to display stuff. So I had all these boxes, and I started putting them in the attic. And then one day I got the bright idea, you know what? I'm going to save space. So I took, like the sets that I had opened multiples of, I took those boxes and the instruction manuals and the extra catalogs, and I threw them away. So that was my first experience throwing stuff away. I said, I'm going to keep one instruction manual, and I'm going to throw it. Because why do I need an extra instruction manual? And again, this is like 1991. There's no reseller market. It's like, yeah, I thought that was a brilliant idea to throw away the boxes. But I did. And you know, another thing that had started was the pirate thing. That started in '89, and of course I wanted those. And you know, some of the bigger sets, like the Black Seas Barracuda, and later the Skull's Eye Schooner, you know, I couldn't afford those, even on some of the 50% off clearance. But oh my goodness, if you were patient, there was the even deeper clearance. So I mean, I was able to get just about any set that I wanted if I just was patient enough to wait till it went to like 75%, even 90% off clearance. I mean, it was just crazy, the deals that you could find at Walmart, service merchandise, even sometimes at Sears. But so I finished up college in '91, and about this time, Lego 9-volt trains, I can't remember the exact year it started, but it was in the early 90s the 9-volt train started. And I remember wanting those so bad, but I couldn't afford those. Oh, I didn't want to pay full price for them anyway. But so the first train set that I bought was at a flea market, the Lodenhall Railroad. I bought it at a flea market for like $35, a used one. Also, hey, there was another set I got at that flea market. Was it a pirate set? Anyway, that was my first good find at a flea market, and so that got me started. That was my first train set and got me into collecting trains. So I'm trying to get into. So this is we're going to say this is the era of 1992 to 1997. I call this the pre-internet era. So tons of clearance, stocking up on Pirate, stocking up on Castle, hoping that trains go on clearance, not finding the train deals. But I take it back. There was the 4.5-volt stuff was at Toys R Us. And I never went into Toys R Us that much because they weren't as common. And it was a little bit more of a drive, and I always thought their prices were high, but they had some 4.5-volt stuff. And I think it might have been Milton Bradley might have had some. So I did get a couple of the smaller, like the accessory sets. I tried to get there was the set 7722 that was the starter 4.5-volt train. I remember having that. I thought it was on sale. They had everything like marked 50% off, and I take it up to the register, and it was still full price, which I think was only like $60. But I ended up not getting it then. Yeah, just finding train stuff at that time, it was hard to find on clearance. But yeah, I'm stockpiling, and I'm running out of room. But I did move out. I moved out of the house. When was it? 92. I moved out. Got a place with a friend of mine that I worked with. So I had a bigger room. It was a 16 by 16 room, so I could store a little more. And I think I did leave some stuff in the attic at the house, my mom's house. But so that went on for a few years, and then what year was it? 94. I got fed up with my roommate. I moved out, went back home, lived with my mom again, and I was like, I got to get my own place. And so that, yeah, in August of 94 is when I bought my first house. So I finally had saved up enough money to put a down payment on a house, and I bought a house. And so now I got this huge house, well, compared to what I've had before. And yeah, the collecting got out of hand then. So I filled the basement up with stuff. Oh, this is also in the mid 90s. Yeah, I made decent money working in a warehouse, and I worked 2 jobs. Worked at Winn-Dixie, and I worked at Six Flags over Georgia. And yeah, I was stockpiling comic books and Lego then. Wasn't building a lot. I did have some stuff on display in the living room. I had I did end up getting the Metroliner on clearance finally. So I had a few train sets. I had a ton of Cassville and pirate sets. I mean, I had every single pirate set that they had made. I don't think I ever paid full price for any of them. I think I had every Cassville set that was available when I started collecting. Now, I did miss some there in that early 80s, 84, 86 era. There were a few that I missed because by the time I discovered clearance, they weren't on shelves anymore. But I was like, how am I ever going to get these old sets that I missed? But yeah, it got out of hand. It did get out of hand, especially the comic books got out of hand. There's a video on YouTube of my road trip with my brother and my roommate at the time. We went to Kansas City and bought too many comic books. I actually had a coffee table in the living room that had a clear top and had drawers that you pull out, and it was filled with excess Lego. And so I got to be known as the guy who collected Lego, and people would give me stuff. So like if their kids outgrew it, so that's when the collection started growing. But I think a big step for me was in 1997. All right, let's set the picture. It's 1997. This is the year I got married, but it's also the year I discovered the internet. So for all that time, for 70 to 90, that's 27 years of, I was like an island in Lego collecting. But anyway, I discovered the internet. So then I discovered that there's other people like me that collect Lego. And 2 of the people that had websites that I discovered, I'm not sure if it was in 97 or it could have been 98, 99, 2000. But Matt Childs, who was really one of the first people to make a Lego roller coaster. Matt Childs, I actually bought some stuff from him through either his website or through something. And then Ben Sticksfield is his YouTube channel name, but he had a page that went through all of the Lego train sets from the 60s and the 70s, which I had never seen. I was just blown away. I was like, I never knew they made these. In fact, he even did a couple of fake, they called them April Fool's jokes. He made a couple of fake sets that weren't real. He'd like to do things like that to trick people, but no, he had all the real ones that he had posted pictures of and demonstrations of. And back then, in the early stages of the internet, everything was pictures or weren't video because your internet was dial-up. But I discovered that. I did buy some stuff from rec.toys.lego. I did try to sell some things through that as well. I And one of the neatest experiences I had was, and this, I feel ashamed now, but I wanted it, my tipper truck, some of the parts were missing, and I wanted to get that again, and somebody was selling it for like $10, which now I think is too much to pay for it. But somebody was selling it on rec.toys.lego for $10. And so I bought it, and I said, I'm so excited because this is one of my, or possibly one of my first sets. And they decided to give it to me. And I was like, I don't even remember who it was now. So there's somebody out there in the late 90s gave me a tipper truck because I said it was my first set. And then now here I am, I got like 1,600 tipper trucks. But so that late 90s is a lot of researching and discovering things. I discovered some of the castle sets that I had missed. I discovered a couple of pirate sets that I had missed. I wasn't able to get there were like 6 pirate sets, and they were pretty rare now by the time 2000 came along. So they were hard for me to get. But the pirate sets, I was able to get the pirate sets that I was missing. But then a better way of buying came along. And I'm not talking about Bricklink, although it was coming along. It was eBay. So the eBay started the pathway to the dark side. In 2000s, when I registered an eBay account, I started selling comic books. I was like, my goal was sell comic books, buy Lego, pay my mortgage. And so I started selling comic books and did pretty good with that. But then I also was like, man, I can sell my extra Lego sets too. So yeah, I started doing that, selling the extras. But then it got to be kind of like a drug. eBay was so different then, because it was exciting. You'd list something for $1 or 99 cents, and then all through the week you'd see the bids go up. And it's like, I get sick now when I go back and look at what I sold some of the stuff for, but at that time when I was selling it, it was like, wow, I'm selling this for like twice what I paid for it. This is great. I could be selling it for like 400 times what I paid for it now. But so yeah, I started selling things on eBay, and that also led to me buying stuff to sell on eBay. And then I discovered Bricklink, and then I discovered I could buy the missing pieces to sets, and that was, yeah, that leads us into the early 2000s, 2000 to like 2004, 2005. That was the golden era of buying on eBay and selling on eBay. So many deals, and then being online and discovering the online deals. And I don't think it'll ever be matched again. Now, I still see people that, that get out, find these amazing clearance deals, eBay finds, but back then it was so easy to find stuff, mislisted things. I got so many good deals on eBay and so many good clearance deals at Target especially. There are times the deals were so good at Target, I didn't have a car big enough to buy everything that I wanted to get. That's how good it was. I remember checking at 8 o'clock on Thursday or Wednesday, whatever day it was, that they would typically mark stuff down. And I go in there, and they got UCS sets for $25. And I was like, oh, I need a couple of buggies. So all those early UCS sets from Star Wars, $25. That's what I was paying for them. That Vladix Castle, that set 8877, that was later. It was still a good. It's $25. I bought like 20 of those. But and then I talked about the on eBay, the Grady Tomlinson collection. It was a $40 lot, something like $40, and the collection was so much bigger. That's where I got the Yellow Castle. The Yellow Castle, tons of space sets or Fabuland sets in there. It was just an amazing. It had to be easily $2,000 worth of stuff. It's kind of hard to find deals like that now, but that was the golden era. But also selling. It's like I was selling sealed sets on eBay, and I thought I was doing good. Again, if I go back and look at the things that I sold, it's not that great. Not that great at all. What I was selling things for, but there's been this resurgence in my own train with a lot of us on YouTube that have been recollecting those and expanding our collections. Battery powered bricks just got some more stuff in the video I saw today, but yeah, those things were like $2, $4.50 for some of the sets. When the Santa Fe train, even not on clearance, it's like Santa Fe limited edition, only 10,000 copies of the first one, limit of 5. I got my 5. It's like there's no like, you weren't worried about getting them. It's like if something came out, you could get it. You never had to worry about it. So it was a great time. Great time. Bought a lot of stuff. But I also started selling stuff. Started selling the Pirates and the Castles so I could buy trains. I discovered the European trains, the 12-volt trains, and I was able to, those ones that I'd seen on that website in the late 90s, I was to start able to acquiring those. And so sell Pirates, sell Castle, buy 12-volt trains, buy 9-volt trains, buy clearance. Oh yeah, and that time, it was KB Toys was another store that you could find clearance. They were overpriced all through the year, but on clearance, yeah, that's where you could find the amazing deals. Zany Brainy, another store that we used to have. So this is where I went from buying like 5 and 10 copies of a set to 200, 300. I think I bought, Zany Brainy had the base plate, the green base plate for 50 cents. And I think I bought, I don't know, like 200 or 300 of those. KB Toys had the Final Duel set for 88 cents. I bought about 200 of those. So it was just, man, it was great. And then I would turn around and sell those stuff. Like the base plates I'd sell for like $4 on eBay. The Final Duel 2 set that had one clone trooper in it, and I would sell the clone troopers on eBay for like $3. And I think, man, I'm making a killing, man. I'm selling these things for $3. I only paid 88 cents for the set, and I got all these other parts. So that was the set, the Final Duel 2, that I started actually listing parts on Bricklink. Around 2004 is when I registered to be a seller on Bricklink. Now I'd already started Bricklink when it was Brick Bay, and I would buy 12-volt trains, parts for sets, instruction manuals, things like that. In 2004, I started listing sets, and I did my first attempt at selling parts. I didn't have a lot of parts, but it was all those parts from that Final Duel 2, and then just gradually added things. But again, when I first started Bricklink, mainly sets, and I just put them at a price and just wait till they would sell, and every now and then things would sell. And that's how you start discovering things are being discontinued, when all of a sudden they start selling when you think your price is too high. So got established between selling on eBay, selling on Bricklink. I'm doing more buying and selling, buying with the intent of selling, and my collection starts to just explode. But then this thing happens. It's called YouTube in 2012. Actually, my YouTube journey starts before that. I mean, I posted videos in 2008, 2001, and 2009. Just kind of forgot about it because I had slow internet. It would just take too long to upload. It'd take like a day to upload a 4-minute video. So I didn't do a lot with it. But then I started getting those Google notices in late 2009 or 2010 about becoming whatever it was they call a partner. They said, hey, your video's doing good. You can monetize it. I'm like, oh, that's a scam. I ignored it. I ignored it for like a year, but until I finally did it. And then I'm like, why are these people subscribed to me? I don't know these people. Why are they subscribed to my, and I'm like, so I'm on it. I finally realized it wasn't a scam, and I monetized it. And then like, it's like, and a few days later, you're like, oh, I made 5 cents today. Oh, I made a penny. Wait, if I make more videos, I can make more money. So then I thought, okay, I got to start making videos. So I start making a lot of bad videos that aren't any good, that nobody's watching. But, you know, after about a year of experimenting with different things, I finally decided, okay, I need to do Lego content because I got a ton of Lego stuff. There's not a lot. There's like Brick Show. They're doing stuff, but they're only doing new stuff. I'm like, who wants to see new stuff? Everybody. In my mind, I'm like, I did not understand why people were so excited to see the new stuff. I'm like, you can go get it for yourself. You can go see it in the store. You can see it in the catalog. You can see it online. Like, but this old stuff, nobody has it. If you want to see it built and like somebody showing it, it's like, there's nobody else doing that. I got that. So I'd post my videos of like old stuff and nobody will watch them, but people loved watching the pictures of the new sets. It's just funny how I thought back then. I was like, I did not comprehend why people wanted to see the new stuff. Now I understand. I understand why people wanted to see the new stuff. So I started making Lego videos, and my channel started to like really take off in 2013, and it started making money. And it was because of Duplo videos. Of course, I wasn't smart enough to know the sources of the income, but I was like, man, this is great. This is, in fact, I said, this is easy. And so I started making more YouTube videos. I was making 3 or 4 a day at times. Sometimes I'd come home and film like 10 videos in a day and then upload them. And then I didn't know about like scheduling and things. To me, it took so long for the videos to upload. I would get a whole bunch of videos, and then at night, or like when I went to work at night, I'd just start them uploading, and then hopefully by the time I came home from work in the morning, they would be done uploading. That's how it was for me. But you know, I started doing so good on YouTube that I kind of cut back selling on Bricklink and eBay, because it's like I didn't have enough time to do everything, and it's like it was more lucrative to do YouTube. And so through YouTube, it's like that's when I started meeting all the people, and that's really when I got more into the community. So before YouTube, it's very limited what the people I experienced, the interactions. It probably would have been people in the North Georgia Lego Train Club, which was kind of the precursor to Dixie Lug, which is Peach Lug now. I did have some interaction with those people, like just going to the shows and seeing them, but I still had no like inkling to participate in that kind of stuff. So when I started going to some of the shows, like the train shows where the Lego Club, I started filming videos of it. I'm pretty sure I was one of the early people filming like Brick Fair, Alabama and stuff, and doing videos about the sets there, or the layouts and things. And I got some other videos of some of the train shows, and a lot of the train show stuff is on Trains Are Fun, which I didn't start until 2014. Oh my goodness. And so what I discovered with Lego, my Lego content, is like the train videos were the one. And I've heard Battery Power Bricks say this on his channel. It's like everybody wants the train content, but yeah, the train content was doing so well. It's like I need to make a dedicated train channel, and it wouldn't be just Lego trains; it'd be anything trains. And so I started Trains Are Fun, and I thought BrickTsar was doing good. Trains Are Fun was just like in a whole nother world. It's like, I thought YouTube was easy before. It's super easy. I mean, anything I did is going to get a bunch of views, and I was just like, it was just crazy. So then I started focusing more on train content and buying train stuff, buying Thomas the Tank Engine and things like that. So like that 2015, 2016, it was a lot of train content, and trains are fun, just taking off. And I literally thought in 2016, I was like, I can quit my job. But I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't, because I did not realize what YouTube was doing behind the scenes. And I know this doesn't necessarily relate to Lego, and that's where I started, is my Lego collecting. So YouTube was pushing kids content, because kids content was where all the eyeballs were. And they approached me, and I went to a class with some other YouTubers about making kids content. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is not what I do. But they were pushing it. They were pushing it. And then the adpocalypse stuff happened, and the stuff with them marketing stuff to kids that are under 13. It's like they were doing this. It was them. But guess what? When it all happened, who got punished? Us, the creators. So I saw a big drop off from when they started pushing kids content. It made my train content kind of jump. I mean, it was like overnight, October 10th, 2016. It was just like, it just died. And then it was all this kid content, and then the adpocalypse happened. And so I realized that YouTube, for me, was not stable enough to depend on. So it was just a source for funds to buy trains, to buy Lego, and things like that. And even that kind of waned. And so it's been like, I had that growth, and then the big boom in 2016, and then so I've been on the downward spiral since then. And so in the last few years, I focused more on Bricklink. So yeah, the last 5 years, or 6 years, I guess, since 2017, the good old days were over of YouTube, and it's just kind of been like the status quo for me. And you see like where the trends are, and the things that you could do that would be successful. I don't want to do them. I don't like it. I don't watch it. I prefer this kind of content where people talk, people share things, and people aren't in a rush. And I know that's not what the internet wants. That's not what YouTube wants. That's not what all the eyeballs are. But my audience isn't 8. My audience is in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. There's some that are younger, and I've met some of the ones that are younger, and those are usually the more mature young people. I'm not very mature as an older person, though, I guess. So. But anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at. 2023, I just make stuff for the fun of it now. I try not to stress over the analytics. I try not to stress over the trends, and that's why I'm a little sporadic now. I appreciate the people that support me through the memberships, and I need to do better about doing dedicated things for them, but I'm going to keep plugging along, making YouTube videos about Lego. I'm going to keep on collecting Lego, and I hope that the people that watch my YouTube channel will continue to see things they've never seen before, and have an appreciation for the older things, because anybody can go and look at lego.com and BrickTsar and see all the latest new stuff. But if you want to see the old stuff, if you're a fan of old Lego, this is the channel for you, or one of the channels for you. There are other great people out there that do content with vintage things. That's what I focus on. But, I'm going to get new stuff too. I like some of the new stuff. I'm not opposed to the new stuff, and I'm not opposed to getting excited about some of the new stuff. I'm also not opposed to complaining about stuff either. If it's overpriced or poorly made or poorly marketed or overly limited. Because my whole experience up until my 30s, I didn't worry about not getting stuff. The limiting factors was money. But now, man, it's different. It's a different world today. It's a lot harder. I think it's harder to be a collector, even though people have more stuff. People have exponentially more stuff. And it's fun. It's funny, you know. It's like if I see a new YouTuber I've never seen before, I can go look. You can see their collection. They got a huge collection, and it's like that's not the way it was for years because there wasn't as much available. So it's what is it? The catch-22 is, or it's great that there's more options, but it's also more challenging as an enthusiast of the hobby. So I enjoyed the golden era of Lego collecting, the 90s, when Lego was bad, but that was a great time to collect, the early 2000s. So Lego's gotten more stable. It's harder. So I guess there's more satisfaction when you do find deals. There's more satisfaction when you find a new set that's something you really resonate with. I'm rambling now, so I better go. So that's my history of Lego collecting. Perhaps I will do a video on my channel, or maybe a podcast. I need to do something that's more visually stimulating for people. I'll probably have to go back and watch this and see what I said. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll be back with more Lego content somewhere.